I'd like to call to order this special call meeting for Thursday, September the 11th of 2025. For the purpose of said meeting as follows: discussion and the approval of the land purchase. I'd like to note that all commissioners are present except for Commissioner Siemens. And with that being said, we will now begin our discussion of the land purchase. Ms. Goff or Cody, either one can start us off.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So I gave each of you a packet that has the award letter from the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks for the purchase of the green trails in the amount of $200,000. An award letter from the People's Bank Heartland Foundation, which is an additional grant of $50,000, which covers the required matching funds for the Wildlife and Parks grant, and also the notice of intent to sell the land to the city of Pratt, and that is signed by the owner of the land, who is a descendant of the Green family. His name is Michael Smith. So as you know, the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks for many years maintained the green trails. The green trails has become an important part of the Pratt community's recreation, so we do the first day hike, and the trails are actually used on an almost daily basis by a number of hikers. And so unfortunately, the land has, the taxes have not been paid on the land in a number of years. And the land was at risk of going to a sheriff's sale. And it makes sense. We were approached, the city of Pratt, I was approached by some members of the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks that they were no longer going to be able to maintain the land, and would the city consider purchasing the land and maintaining it for the community in perpetuity. And so that's the intention. However, we did not have the money budgeted and set aside, and so we sought grants to purchase the land, and that's what you have before you.
Okay.
So I'm asking today for permission to complete the transaction of the transfer of land from Mr. Michael Smith to the city of Pratt, and all of the funds are already in place. We will write the initial check, and then we will be reimbursed by both the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks and the People's Heartland Foundation. And I just want to thank those organizations so much, because they're making this possible.
So it looks like the project itself, everything will be finalized then as soon as we approve this, pretty much, or when you guys go give the check to Mr. Smith.
Correct, Miss. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I intend to travel to Oklahoma this weekend, to complete the transaction and to meet with Mr. Smith in person.
Well, I do think the green trails is very important to our community. I mean, I'll be honest, I have my engagement pictures back there, so they're very important. Yes, I know. And I know our cross-country team, when we brought them here last Friday, they were very concerned about the condition of the trails. So I do think this is important. Plus, the nice part is it does not come out of our budget whatsoever. This is all grant money, which is awesome for us. So.
It is. Cody, I do want to open the floor up to
Yeah.
Cody. Cody did prepare a general warranty deed for Mr. Smith to sign. I have that. I will pass it out, but while I'm doing that, any information that Cody may want to pass along. I did have a Teams meeting today with Tara, our accountant, as well as Brianna was on that Teams call, and we talked with her about where to pull those monies from and how to do the reimbursement, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I prepared the general warranty deed. That's essentially what's going to transfer the property to the city. I did track down, as as you can see on the notice of intent, it just has Mr. Smith's, Michael Smith's name. I did check down that he is in fact married, and so therefore his wife would have what's referred to as an inchoate interest in any property. So I got her name and added that to the deed, and so that she can sign the deed as well, to make sure we don't have any future chain of title issues come up based upon that issue. Have the standard language in there pursuant to general warranty, that basically he's warranting that he does in fact have ownership of the property. So yeah, that should cover us in terms of any of those issues. It's not like a standard real estate contract where, generally we would deal with, closing in terms of maybe having security for serve as that entity, title insurance or anything like that. I mean, if there is a title issue that comes up pursuant to the language in the deed, the Smiths will need to assist with that issue. But other than that, this general warranty deed should take care of all of those things.
So what happens with the back taxes?
Well,
We'll be responsible for those.
yeah.
We will.
It's under, it's less than $5,000 that are owed,
Okay.
Okay.
Can we take that out of our,
I believe. But I have a high confidence. I've seen it before. I knew that I wasn't impressed that it was a tremendous amount, and it was under the amount that I was allowed to approve.
So the county, could they waive that?
Sure.
Oh, I'm just asking.
Yeah, we could ask them to.
Okay.
if we do have to pay those back taxes, which again, it's only 5,000 or around that number, where would that just come out of general fund, or could that come out of any special?
It could come out of general fund. It could come out of, the city manager's budget has some room for some specific projects. It could also come out of some travel and tourism
Okay.
monies.
Okay, well,
So-
oh, sorry.
Like on the no title insurance, I guess part of my thinking has always been that make sure there's no issues where, in decades down the line, if they're no longer living and there's an issue, they're not around to be responsible to get it cleared up.
Yeah.
So are we comfortable that no issue will ever come up? That we don't need to spend the, whatever, $500 to do title insurance?
Well, that's the issue. I mean, I think it sounds like to me this property has been in the family and in his name for quite some time. I'd say if there were several transactions that had occurred before the city steps in to buy it, that generally, gives good reason to get title insurance on it, because each and every transaction opens up the door to a potential title issue, depending on how the transaction occurred. But for property that's been under the same ownership for many, many years, then less transactions, obviously the less potential title issues. So, and I know the city's wanting to move forward on this. The title insurance would kind of slow things down. But yeah, I mean, unless there's some information that there's been several transactions, generally with this particular thing, I think the city's safe moving forward with it. But yeah, you're right. That is the risk if way down the line something comes up and they're not around. The only avenue is to potentially go after an estate, but if that's all been resolved as well, there won't be that title insurance company that will be on the hook for assisting with whatever cost it might take to correct the issue.
And there is some urgency in this transaction. The fiscal year for the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks closes on September 30th. After that date, we'd have to reapply for this grant with no guarantees. We actually applied for this grant many months ago. Because the owner of the land lives out of state, communication has been challenging, and sometimes weeks and weeks and weeks will go by where there's not a response to my initiated communication. And so since everything is lined up, and because we're coming to the end of the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks fiscal year, I would recommend that we move forward and not cause delay. I understand the concern.
Well, and I wasn't thinking we would have to hold it up for that, but by having it, then somebody would have done the research to make sure there were no issues.
So
So I'm not stuck on it, it's just
sure.
trying to be prudent.
Is it possible to get title insurance after the transaction occurs?
I believe it is if the city pays for it. Generally, if you want the seller to pay for it, then you put that into a contract as a term of that, and then the seller's on the hook. And generally then it needs to be, arrangements at least made prior prior to the execution of it. But yeah, a lot of times when we do that, they'll do the research and they'll find, you know, certain things or possibly certain things that, you know, they might want to address before signing off on it. And a lot of the times those things are resolved after the execution of the contract and after the property is transferred. So, so yeah, I would think security first. I mean, if we're willing to pay for it, and any issues they do find, we help them resolve that, that they would issue a policy on it.
So I can pursue that.
So what?
I'm happy to pursue that. Monty?
Anybody else have an opinion?
It's customary to do that, but in this case, it's been in that family for so long. I'm with you, if there's been recent transactions in the last 25 to 50 years, but there hasn't been any, has there?
I think that the transaction that occurred was from the elder,
To the other green,
right?
right. It was in the family.
That's
yes.
right.
And in this case, you know, it's the city's not fronting any of its own money that it would be out. It's based on the grant money, and the grant didn't require title insurance to be acquired before approving the grant to purchase the land was one thing to point out as well. But
We did have to go,
Okay, you're good with it? Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
we did have to go through a specialized appraisal process in which federal funds were attached because the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks grant is attached to federal funds. And so, in this specialized appraisal, I believe first of all, there wasn't one in the state of Kansas. I had to hire an appraiser from outside of the state who worked with somebody in the state. It was that kind of specialized. And we had to provide a lot of property information. And so there was some title research done on the property.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so any other discussions about this?
So
Fire crawl.
Go ahead.
what goes through my mind is basically, yes, it is not costing us anything, but we are incurring a responsibility to care for it.
Right.
So you know, we shouldn't approach it that it's not going to cost us anything, but we are getting 110 acres of land
Right.
too. So I'm fine with it, just considering the whole picture.
Yes.
Sure,
The
sure.
purchase is a wash, but the maintaining of it will come out of the budget. But Gina, do you have any concerns like this will hurt our budget at all or anything?
No, there will be some cost to the maintenance of it. But I do think that on balance, it is well worth the cost of the maintenance. The risk is that this property was on the list of properties to go to sheriff's sale, at the next sheriff's sale. And this has been a community treasure for many, many years. And I could see that this land could be attractive to hunters or to adjoining landowners, and then the community would lose access to the trails. And I would hate to see that happen. So that's why, on balance, I believe that it's better to keep it as a community treasure, community access for recreation and the events like the first day hike, instead of risking that it would go to a sale and we would be outbid.
Are there any specific restrictions from their grant that we would have difficulty complying with?
No, it has to have public access.
Okay.
There's another piece of it that it's a motorized, right now there's a small motorized piece of the trails. It's a very short, small loop. And I think that, I'm not a motorcycle rider but I think it's like 50 cc's or less of a motorized.
And we have to continue that?
Yes.
We do have to continue?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like a four-wheeler powered in that loop.
Okay.
And so that isn't attached.
But nothing we would have any difficulty complying with?
Not at all, because that's the way that the land has already been maintained.
And then does this change anything on our insurance? Will we have to insure this? Okay.
But nothing too drastic, probably, right?
There's no expensive, infrastructure
Yeah.
on the property. It's in the floodplain, but there's no structures on it other than that pavilion and I think a mobile home that has a restroom that's locked up.
So that's ours. That will be
It
ours.
will be.
Okay, good.
And of course, since it'll be for public use owned by a municipality, there won't be any future taxes owed on the property. It was just because a private individual owed it was why there were taxes on it. But the fact that the city is taking over it for the community benefit could be a reason why maybe the county could use that as justification to maybe waive those taxes to help with the future maintenance of it. But
It's a win-win.
Gary?
I remember we had, is it about 179 acres of park in the city?
200. I always thought like 280 something. So we're adding 300 now.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whatever this is, 114 or so,
Yeah.
will that be part of our park? I mean, it's not going to be maintained by the park, is it? Is it?
It will be. That's one of the reasons why during the budget time, we were discussing Danny's need for a skid steer that had a bush hog.
Yeah.
I don't know. Justin's
Yeah.
crew went out and helped clear some of the land. And so did the wastewater treatment plant crew. They also helped recently, and they said that a bush hog would make that work much easier. And also Danny could use that at Lemon Park because there's trails at Lemon Park as well.
Yeah. All those back.
Well, I just wondered that, whatever that, maybe it was 200.
Yeah, 284, something like that. So that's an
Will
ex.
changes as we
Yeah.
accumulate stuff, but anyway,
Yeah.
that would make an even larger impact for,
Park department probably, or
yeah, for advertisement
Yeah.
or
Yes.
whatever.
And it will also, I anticipate that in short order, we would annex the land into the city, and so that would increase our city boundaries.
because that's in county property. So
But
that,
it's in the county, it's
It's-
not in the city limits.
right. So, okay.
But as the owners of the land, then we can unilaterally annex it.
Got it.
I like that.
Okay. All right. So Cody, what's the motion gonna have to be? Just saying what exactly?
make a motion to approve the purchase of the land
Okay.
for, I guess you could state the amount of $250,000 to be paid with the grant money as discussed.
Okay.
It will be fronted by the city and then reimbursed by the grant money, so I don't know if that matters.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a good idea to include in the motion to be fronted by the city,
You-
and that'll be reimbursed by the grant money.
Okay. Any other discussion before I make that motion? Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of $250,000 of the city budget, but will be reimbursed by the Heartland Grant and the Wildlife and Parks Grant to purchase the Green Trails land, as presented in our discussion. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase for $250,000 out of the city budget, but will be reimbursed by the Wildlife and Parks Grant and the Heartland Grant for the purchase of the Green Trails as presented in our discussion. Any other discussions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Purchase is approved. Okay,
Have a safe trip.
yeah, have a safe trip.
How far is that?
Oh, where did that?
Durant?
Durant, Oklahoma.
I don't know where it is. I just knew that it was gonna be an all-day Sunday event.
Ah, okay.
Congratulations.
Well then, with that being said, with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this special call meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this special call meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.